So the Greens seem frustrated the energy rebate is not means tested, but that renting is means tested effectively. Why are the different approaches on the two?
No, that's not quite right. We say that the energy rebate shows that the government can step in and regulate the price of essentials, and if they can do it with energy, they should do it with rent. And we've been calling on them to do this for ages. The Prime Minister called together the premiers and territory leaders from around the country at National Cabinet and was able to regulate and cap the prices of electricity, or do the same with rent. And I've heard that there's been a lot of, a few politicians have arced up and said, well, why is this energy rebate going to others? Why is it going to billionaires? I'd say if they're concerned about that $300, wait till they find out about the $4,500 tax cut that Labor's giving to every politician and billionaire that they all seem very happy to pocket. Our concern is not about the government stepping in and regulating the prices of essentials. The opposite. We think electricity should be treated as an essential service. We're saying now do the same with rent.
So the issue with rent is it's a different supply model, isn't it? It's not just a few big companies providing it. So it's very different. If you do freeze rent, the evidence is in plenty of countries as you reduce supply. If you do end up with people in homes, ultimately more owning their homes, that can be better in the long term. If you do it in the short term, rental homes actually tend to have more in them. So if we've got a supply issue, that could get worse.
Renters need breathing space at the moment. Renters are feeling massive pain. Average rents have gone up $100 a week in the 2 years under Labor. The Reserve Bank governor said they're going to go up by at least another $40 next year on average. And people are being pushed to breaking point, right? Now, people need a break with a rent freeze and then rent caps after that to give wages time to catch up with rents, because at the moment, people are skipping meals to pay the latest massive increase from their landlord. And what the Commonwealth's what Labor's offered in the budget won't even touch the sides. It'll do nothing. 3/4 of renters don't get rent assistance.
Do you welcome
They don't get rent assistance.
Do you welcome the promised drop in migration? Do you think that will help? Do you think they'll be able to achieve it?
Migrants aren't the cause of this crisis. This government, this Labor, the biggest line item in Labor's budget for housing is tax breaks to the wealthy and property investors who've already got multiple homes. When you add up all of those property concessions, you're looking at $175 billion being spent over the 4 years in this budget. Now, let's use that money to build more public housing and get more supply into the system. Let's use that money to give to the state so that they can fund some rent freeze and rent controls. So you're talking about negative gearing
capital gains tax, are you?
Yes, those. And now, when someone's got one investment property, we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who've got multiple properties. Why is Labor giving a subsidy to a wealthy property investor who's got 5 properties to go and buy their 6? These handouts stop renters buying their first home.
On the rent subsidies, how would you envision that would work? Would it be one-off? Would it go to the renter themselves or the homeowner? What would your plan be?
Well, it's a similar model to the electricity sector. What the government did was get the states around the table and say, you have a role in regulating this area. What can we do to support you to regulate the cost of this essential service for people? And put some money on the table to help the states fund a rent freeze, to say, if you cap and freeze rents, then we will provide you with support, including potentially to go and build some new homes. Here in the ACT, there's a limit as to how much rents can go up every year, right? There's a limit as to how much rents can go up every year. This happens right around the world. What Labor is saying is their answer to the housing and rental crisis is unlimited rent increases, and people can't take it anymore. And I know Labor's made a big point about rent assistance in this budget. 3/4 of people, of renters, don't get any rent assistance. Of the quarter that do, only some of them are lucky to get the full amount. If you get the full amount under Labor's plan, you'll get about $1.30, $1.40 a day. And meanwhile, the Reserve Bank governor says rents are going to go up by more than $40 a week. People are being left behind.
On the future made in Australia, do you like what you see on that initiative? Things like the green hydrogen, renewable energy, superpower, processing of critical minerals. Is there a lot of that you like, that you'll support?
Well, the Greens have been pushing for expansion of green metals. We back the critical minerals sector. Spent a lot of time in Queensland during the election making the point that as we get out of coal and gas, in many places, the best job for a coal miner will be another mining job. And we should take advantage of the fact that we've got a lot of the minerals here that are going to be used to power the world in a zero pollution society. We've said that. We have a different approach as to how we'd get there to the government, but expanding that sector of the economy is something that
So you'll back that?
That we support. Well, no. We support it, but we're going to have a close look at the government's package, and we're going to look at it as a whole, right? We're going to look at it as a whole, because one thing we know is you go nowhere if you have your foot on the brake and the accelerator at the same time. And what the government says, they come out with all these great proposals, and then you look at the fine print. You look at the future gas strategy that they released a week before that says they want gas in the system past 2050. You've got the Environment Minister approving coal mines that run out to 2060, 2070. Labor are climate frauds. Labor are climate frauds. They say they want to expand the green economy, but what they're actually doing is expanding coal and gas. Now, if you expand coal and gas, then you are pushing a safe climate beyond reach. It's where you suck up workers and resources that should be needed for this other area of expanding the green economy. You can't do both at the same time, certainly not if you want to have a safe climate. And we've seen this before with the government. They say, oh, we want electric vehicles in to cut pollution. And then they bring in a bill to fast-track new gas projects. Even one of those wipes out all the climate gains. So we will be saying to the government, we're going to look at all of this as a package. Why should the Greens work with the government on one bill to cut pollution one day if the government's going to turn around the next and undo all that good work by lifting pollution by approving coal and gas mines to run past 2050?
Are you expecting an election this year?
Well, we're presuming that, taking the government at its word that it's going to be next year. We're prepared for one this year. The government says there's going to be one next year. But if the government thinks that this budget is somehow going to help with renters in inner city seats where we are going to be running hard, I think they've got a big surprise coming. We have pushed very hard for the government to take action on the housing and rental crisis. A third of this country now rents, right? A third of this country now rents, and Labor is leaving them behind. If this is the best that the government can do, then I would not be at all surprised if people take out their anger at the ballot box, and you see a lot of people switching now to saying, well, we're going to switch our vote.
10-second one to finish on. Some people really want to shake things up, get radical. CGT, apply it to the family home. Would you be open to that?
I think with capital gains tax, the reform that's needed is to look at the discount rate, especially on multiple investment.
But not on the family home?
I don't think you need to be looking at family home. No, you look at people who've got 3 homes and ask why don't they get a tax break for their 4th.
Putting it out there. Greens leader Adam Bandt, thanks for your time.
Thanks.